this is Dave with NTI Online, and today we're going to give you a quick introduction to the TI series boiler. Now, this is a discontinued product for NTI, but our YouTube channel is fairly new, and we've got tens of thousands of these out there that you guys are working on. So we thought we'd make available to you some videos on the TI to help you with troubleshooting and repairing these units, especially as they're now getting older. Some of these are now approaching 20 years old. And we're going to start with just a quick introduction to the Sentry control that's on the side of the boiler. We're going to discuss how that works, then we'll come back and do a little bit of troubleshooting. Okay, so we're now zoomed in on the side of the TI series boiler. This is where the Sentry control and the fan wall are. I've already removed, there's a metal cover that goes over this. For the purpose of troubleshooting, you'll probably have to remove that. There's two screws at the top here that have to be come out, and there's oftentimes one down here that you have to remove, and then that cover comes off. That gives you access to all the wiring. First thing we're going to look at is our Sentry control. Along the bottom here, you'll notice some flashing yellow lights. These lights are status indicators. So this is showing us our water temperature, and over here we're seeing the gas input. The gas input is a number that represents how hard or slow the boiler is working in terms of how hard it's ramping the fan. Water temperature is the outlet temperature of the boiler. If you have an outdoor sensor connected, this light here will also blink in sequence, and this is your outdoor air temperature. And lastly is DHW temp. This light is going to be on or off. When it's on, it means there is a call for hot water, and when it's off, it means there is no call for hot water. This one generally does not blink. On the right-hand side here, we've got our thermostat demand indicating there's a central heating call. We've got auxiliary circ, which would be the purple wire or the diverting valve if it's a combi, and that indicates we're sending 120 volts either to our domestic water circulator or to the diverting valve. The circ light, which indicates that we've got a central heating call and we're sending power to the blue wire or the central heating circulator. And lastly is burner light. So when the burner light is lit, it means the Sentry has sent power to the fan wall and it's looking for the burner to be on. So that's basically what this control does. On the bottom here, we'll quickly walk through the programming. So there are 3 buttons underneath here. When you touch the one closest to the front of the boiler once, it's going to stop and say run. If you tap the right-hand button, it's going to walk you up through the various menus. And if you keep tapping it, it just keeps going through the same menus. So we'll talk about what each of these is and how to change them. So first menu is low. To see the menu, you're going to hit the button close to the front of the boiler again. And the low setting is the domestic setting for the boiler. So when you're in a domestic hot water call, this is the boiler water temperature. 160 is the default. If you want to raise it, you use the 2 buttons that are on the right-hand side. So if I go to the far right, that raises the number. If I go to the middle button, it lowers it. And when I'm happy with the setting I've chosen, I hit the button that's on the left, and that saves it. And if I go in and check that again, you can see that it's saved. We'll save it once more. High setting, this is the central heating maximum set point. So we're going to go in and see what we've got there. Currently it's set to 130. Again, you raise it by hitting the right hand, lower it by hitting the middle button. So we'll set it to 150, and I'm going to save it by hitting this left-hand button. Next up is differential. This is the central heating differential. So when the boiler reaches set point, it's going to allow the boiler to turn off when we get at set point plus 10, and then it'll turn back on again at set point minus differential. So just quickly to cover that again, so our high setting is 150. The burner is going to run till it hits 150. It'll allow it to overshoot to 160. Then once the burner shuts off at 130 degrees, this one would kick back on. So you can raise or lower this again with the 2 buttons on the right. Next up is reset or outdoor reset. And this one's a little hard to describe, but basically what you're setting here is at 85 degrees outdoor air temperature, the boiler is going to target 85 degrees water temperature. So the higher you set this number, the less outdoor reset you get. The lower you set it, the more outdoor reset you get. As a rule, if you're doing fin tube baseboard or a high temperature system that requires 180, I usually set this number up around 100, maybe 110. Usually there's not much need to go higher than that. If you're doing a low temperature system, such as radiant in-floor heating, you might get away with as little as 70. Next up is SFS, starting fan speed. This setting should not need adjustment. This is the speed at which the fan is going to run during ignition. High fan speed, this is the maximum fan speed that you're going to achieve. This is the number that shows up here under gas input. Now, with a brand new Sentry or the first time you power your boiler, it's only going to go to 205. Once the boiler goes through an ignition sequence, on the TI series, it's going to see a little device over on the right here we call the optocoupler. Once it sees that, it will automatically go to 240. And the reason that's done is because this controller retrofits to an older boiler, and on the older boiler, it would only go to 205. So next up, we're going to go to low fan speed. So this sets the minimum firing rate of the boiler. Generally, there's no need to change this. This just means that the boiler will not go below a certain value, and that sets your high and low. Next up is freeze protection. This is going to be on or off. Freeze protection will allow the boiler to fire the burner if it senses that it's too cold, so around 40 Fahrenheit. It'll start a circulator. If the temperature drops a little more, it'll turn the burner on and maintain a 50-degree set point. So you're going to use that in most residential applications, and the only time you turn it off is generally if you have a building that's going to be left unattended and presumably with power on, such as a cottage and you've got glycol in the system, or if you're doing snow melt. Otherwise, you should leave this on. STO is the storage feature. This is only going to show up on combi model boilers, and what the storage feature does is after every hot water call, it is going to reheat the plate exchanger and keep it at a certain temperature. And in this case, what it's going to do is it's going to keep it at about 140 degrees for 2 hours after each hot water call. And that's done to reduce cold water sandwich and complaints that it takes too long to get hot water. The number can go from 0 to 24. So 24 is basically on all the time, and off is off, so it won't do it at all. And that's it. We're now back to run. If you just leave this after a few seconds, it will flash the word off. Or if you hit the left-hand button, it's going to save all your settings, and now you're back into normal operation. So that's the intro to the Sentry. Now we'll jump into some troubleshooting. Thanks for watching the video today. If you'd like to check out more videos, see the link below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for all the future updates. And also check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.